Windsor Castle, December 21st, 2025. From the green drawing room inside Windsor Castle, a room reserved for moments meant to endure, King Charles III finally spoke. The address was rare. The timing was loaded. Framed by a subdued Union Jack and the royal coat of arms, the message was not fiery or theatrical. It was precise, controlled, calculated. "There is no fury in me," the king said, his voice measured. "Only grief, for a family I have seen splinter, and for an institution now forced to carry the burden of rumor, suspicion, and public anguish. Let judgment come from history, not from murmurs." The statement landed only hours after Prince Harry touched down in London, arriving quietly on a private charter from Los Angeles. He came alone. Meghan Markle was nowhere in sight. But the shock was not his presence, it was his posture. Harry did not return seeking comfort. He demanded confrontation. He formally requested an audience with the king, arrived with legal representation, and insisted his grievances be recorded, acknowledged, and heard. Unlike previous visits, he declined state-level armed protection, the very issue that had fueled legal clashes between the Sussexes and the Home Office earlier that year. Instead, a discreet transfer from Heathrow to Clarence House was arranged under the guidance of Catherine, a move insiders interpreted as her final attempt to preserve order before everything fractured further. Palace sources were blunt. This was not a peace offering. It was a reckoning. Behind closed doors, Harry presented a dossier of accusations, claims that did not focus on abstract institutional failures, but named names. He accused the king and Catherine of deliberate emotional neglect, of selective compassion that protected one figure while isolating another. He alleged a calculated imbalance that crowned Catherine with favor while casting Meghan as a liability. Most explosively, he claimed the monarchy had been used as an eraser, scrubbing Meghan from relevance, while cementing Catherine as the singular, unquestioned future queen. According to aides close to the Duke, Harry resurrected a wound long buried. The 1995 rumor that Charles had secretly ordered a paternity test after Harry's red hair ignited tabloid speculation about Diana. Harry reportedly invoked that memory as his moral line in the sand, rejecting recent whispers of DNA verification tied to his children, Archie and Lilibet, a protocol said to have quiet backing from the king and princess and under inheritance procedures. "If you question my place," Harry allegedly said in the private meeting, "you don't get to question theirs." What was meant to remain sealed leaked almost immediately, likely from within Harry's own legal circle, signaling a media strategy already in motion. Yet the most startling strike was not aimed at his father. It was aimed squarely at Catherine. Multiple aides say Harry accused her of being the silent measure by which Meghan was undone. "She never had to act," he reportedly said. "Her existence made Meghan an outsider before she spoke a word." In Harry's telling, the institution elevated Catherine's restraint, polish, and composure into a weapon, one that framed Meghan as volatile, emotional, and self-interested by contrast. He pointed to the 2021 bridesmaid dress dispute as the moment Meghan understood the hierarchy was settled and she was not chosen. Palace insiders say Catherine offered no rebuttal. She kept her schedule intact, traveling the next morning to a children's hospice in Surrey. A senior aide summarized her stance without hesitation. "The Princess of Wales does not answer personal attacks. Silence in her world is not avoidance. It is declaration." But another presence hangs over this unraveling, heavier than any living voice. Queen Elizabeth II. Even in death, she remains a gravitational force in the story. Critics of Harry argue that his latest claims trespass on sacred ground, that they tarnish the legacy of a woman who, by most accounts, extended him unwavering affection and protection during the upheaval surrounding his 2018 marriage. Yet Harry appears unmoved by that reverence. In a leaked WhatsApp message later shared with The Times, he allegedly wrote, "She loved me, yes. But love couldn't shield me from the machinery she upheld." To Harry, even the Queen was bound by the system, and the system, he insists, was the real adversary. In the aftermath of King Charles's address, a three-sided strategy quietly took shape. The king, described as deeply hurt but resolute, is said to have shifted his focus away from emotion and toward legality. He reportedly convened the Lord Chamberlain and members of the Privy Council, initiating a confidential review of succession law, reputational risk, and media exposure. Catherine, meanwhile, remains outwardly silent, continuing her royal schedule with precision, each appearance a study in duty, each engagement a visual counterpoint to Meghan's Hollywood absence. Prince William, however, is said to be seething. According to a senior royal correspondent quoted by The Guardian, William views this not as familial pain spilling over, but as a calculated effort to destabilize the monarchy from afar. In protest, he has reportedly delayed his annual end-of-year speech, a silence widely interpreted as deliberate. Layered onto this already volatile moment is a figure known only as DL, the anonymous woman claiming biological ties to Archie and Lilibet. Harry had previously dismissed her assertions outright. Now, sources say he is urgently pressing the palace to intervene, demanding the allegations be neutralized before they reach broadcast. This abrupt shift from dismissal to alarm has split observers. Is this the instinct of a father protecting his children? Or is it, critics ask, the same suppression of truth Harry has long accused the monarchy of practicing? As Christmas draws near and preparations begin at Sandringham, the royal family stands suspended between ritual and rupture. King Charles's final words from his address echo ominously, "My son returns, not in repentance, but with demands." We are a family. But the crown is not guided by feeling. It endures. With public opinion fracturing and legal teams circling, the central question sharpens. Who, exactly, is Harry defending, and who is he confronting? In the days following his return, Harry did not retreat into seclusion. He sought definition. Through private meetings and strategically placed briefings, he advanced a singular thesis. Everything that fractured his life, and Meghan's, originated within the monarchy itself. In this framing, he is neither runaway prince nor rebellious exile. He is a casualty of an institution that, he argues, never truly claimed him. This narrative did not appear overnight. Between 2020 and 2023, Harry and Meghan projected autonomy. They left. They spoke. They signed deals. They built platforms. Agency was theirs, along with accountability. But by late 2025, the equation shifted. Hollywood's enthusiasm cooled. Legal setbacks accumulated. Public sympathy splintered. And the emergence of DL introduced a variable that could not be controlled. At that moment, Harry's story transformed. Choice became coercion. Independence became pressure. Silence became survival. Privately, Harry told advisors he had never been free to act authentically within the royal framework, a claim that reframes King Charles III not merely as a distant father, but as an architect of constraint. One legal source present during preparatory discussions claims Harry argued that Charles's fixation on protocol, lineage, and institutional permanence created a psychological enclosure he could only escape by leaving entirely. At the heart of Harry's case lies a comparison, not between brothers, but between women. In his telling, Meghan Markle did not fail to adapt. She was designed to fail. Every gesture, he insists, was weighed against a living ideal no outsider could satisfy. Catherine, he argues, embodied the palace's preferred model, disciplined, restrained, unyielding. The institution, he claims, amplified that contrast. As Catherine symbolized continuity, Meghan was cast as disruption. To Harry, this was not chance. It was narrative construction. What his argument omits is chronology. Catherine's approval did not spike because Meghan arrived. It rose steadily, year after year, built on 2 decades of consistency. And that omission may be the quietest and most telling silence of all. By late 2024, polling told a story the palace did not have to narrate. Catherine was registering favorability above 72% across the UK, numbers fueled not by glamour, but by years of early childhood advocacy and health-centered patronages. Meghan Markle, by contrast, saw her standing erode amid public clashes, court battles, and grievances that increasingly appeared monetized. Harry rejects that reading outright. In his version of events, the press did not react to Meghan's choices. It retaliated against her existence. The most consequential turn in Harry's posture centers on DNA verification. Multiple royal sources confirm that he once supported formal genetic confirmation for his children as a routine safeguard for inheritance clarity, especially after relocating to the United States. The stance tracked historical precedent and carried quiet encouragement from senior advisors. But when DL's claims surfaced, the position flipped. Overnight, verification became violation. Harry now frames any request for testing as emotional abuse, tethering it to a childhood-wound, tabloid whispers from the 1990s about his red hair. By resurrecting that memory, he recasts King Charles III as the origin of humiliation and distrust. No public record proves a test was ever ordered. The shift, however, is unmistakable. What was administrative is now personal. What was protective is now persecution. If Charles embodies institutional authority in Harry's narrative, Prince William embodies moral boundary. Aides say William made one line unmistakably clear: private reconciliation might be possible, public attacks on Catherine are not. The line hardened relations instantly. William's stance is not about optics. It's about precedent. In his view, Harry's approach risks normalizing a dangerous idea that personal grievance can override constitutional order. Privately, William has described the strategy as reckless escalation masquerading as vulnerability. This leaves the unresolved question splitting observers. Is Harry operating with strategic aggression or unraveling emotionally? The evidence cuts both ways. The coordination is visible: timed leaks, synchronized messaging, selective memory, legal positioning. Yet those closest to him describe a man depleted, reactive, and seething at a world no longer organized around his pain. Both readings may be true. The victim narrative does not erase agency. It relocates blame. By framing himself and Meghan as casualties of Catherine's rise and Charles's rigidity, Harry seeks leverage, not reunion, turning a family fracture into a constitutional stress test. While Harry directs accusations inward, a darker, legally volatile figure advances in the background: DL, the anonymous woman claiming biological motherhood of Archie and Lilibet. Her presence is no longer theoretical. It is approaching with paperwork, timelines, and cross-border consequences. Sources close to DL's legal team say she is preparing a televised statement for early January 2026, not a leak, not a tabloid tease, but a vetted appearance featuring signed documents, medical records, financial trails, and a chronology that contradicts the official account. The core allegation is stark. She was promised privacy, compensation, and protection after delivering 2 children via surrogacy for a high-profile couple later identified as Harry and Meghan. After the births, she claims, payment was incomplete, her role erased from legal and medical files, and records sealed under NDAs she now says were breached. If her materials withstand scrutiny, the implications widen into crisis. Succession rights could be challenged under British and Commonwealth law. The rule is blunt: lineage must be legitimate and traceable. If surrogacy was undisclosed and official records misstate maternity, titles and inheritance could be frozen, if not invalidated, until clarity is forced. This is why insiders say the palace has shifted into containment. The monarchy is no longer managing a domestic dispute, it is bracing for a challenge to continuity itself. Briefings have reached Princess and the Privy Council. Contingencies up to and including temporary suspension of titles pending verification are drafted, not deployed. Harry, once aligned with clearing doubts through confirmation, now fights testing ferociously. He says it would reduce his children to artifacts. Critics, some inside royal circles, counter that the reversal smells less like protection and more like panic. If DL's documents hold, they implicate not only Meghan, but Harry in a years-long deception of public and institutional trust. As Harry battles in London, Meghan remains in California. Recently seen at a high-profile charity gala in Santa Barbara, she appeared alone, styling herself as Duchess of Sussex despite Buckingham Palace's late November 2025 clarification that she may no longer represent the family in any official capacity. The moment drew backlash when actor Kevin Costner publicly accused her of leveraging the title for attention, saying she attempted to insert herself into a narrative where she no longer belonged. This split reality, Harry pleading victimhood in London while Meghan projects nobility in Hollywood, has become a jarring contradiction for the monarchy and a bewildering spectacle for the public. With DL's statement approaching, the institution faces a rare demand it cannot defer: forced transparency. The question now is not whether the truth will surface, but who will survive it with credibility intact. As Prince Harry's accusations dominated headlines and whispers of DL's impending revelation rattled corridors of power, Prince William, heir to the throne and future monarch, reportedly reached a breaking point. Unlike King Charles's calculated sorrow or Catherine's practiced silence, William's response was visceral, personal, and swift. There's a difference between grief and betrayal. William reportedly told aides during a closed strategy meeting at Sandringham on December 19th, Harry has chosen betrayal. According to sources within Kensington Palace, William was the first to propose a full legal review of Harry's claims, not as a family matter, but as a reputational threat to the crown. The Prince of Wales is now said to be spearheading a two-pronged strategy: reaffirm the constitutional strength of the monarchy and publicly protect Catherine from character assassination. As Harry blamed Catherine for setting an impossible standard and silently overshadowing Meghan, the Princess of Wales did not respond directly. She did not need to. Her actions spoke louder than any rebuttal. On December 20th, just one day after Harry's private demands to the king became public, Catherine appeared at the Evina London Children's Hospital, wearing a deep blue dress and a single white flower brooch, a nod royal watchers believe to Queen Elizabeth II's favorite gardenia, symbolizing resilience and discretion. She met with terminally ill children, held hands with nurses, and did not once address the swirling controversy. When asked by a reporter about the royal family's recent media challenges, she simply smiled and walked forward. Her choice to rise above it all is not silence, said a senior royal advisor. It's sovereignty. Internally, however, Catherine's role is far from passive. Sources confirm she has been briefed daily on both the DL legal risk and Meghan's misuse of royal titles in the United States. She is reportedly consulting with the palace's communications and security advisors, not for retaliation, but for containment. Back in the US, Meghan Markle's continued use of the Duchess of Sussex title at high society events is causing friction, not just in London, but across diplomatic circles. A December 18th gala in Malibu hosted by a global climate foundation listed Meghan as Her Royal Highness, a title formally relinquished in 2020 per the Sussex's exit agreement. The backlash was swift. Sir Nicholas Parry, former UK ambassador to the UN, issued a public clarification on the BBC World Service. Miss Markle is no longer HR. It is inappropriate and misleading for international institutions to treat her as such. More concerning, however, was the public accusation made by Kevin Costner, who alleged Meghan attempted to position herself as a key donor liaison without contributing or being invited in any official capacity. His exact words, "She showed up like she still had a crown." This perception, Meghan clinging to prestige, while Harry paints himself as a victim of royal elitism, has created what royal analysts are calling a credibility collapse. Following an emergency briefing at Clarence House, William issued a rare internal directive. The Crown would no longer allow false narratives to go unchallenged. This marks a potential shift in the royal family's long-standing policy of never complain, never explain. While no public statement has been made, the following countermeasures are already in motion. A compliance review of all titles used by Meghan and Harry in media, contracts, and public events. A discreet press leak campaign highlighting Catherine's charitable impact and distancing her from tabloid drama. Quiet diplomatic engagements with US and Commonwealth partners to clarify the Sussexes' current standing within the royal structure. In short, William is reasserting control not just as a brother betrayed, but as a prince preparing for kingship. With Harry's return turning into a public referendum on royal truth, the Crown is now operating on multiple fronts. Public narrative management to retain trust across the UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Legal shielding in preparation for DL's media exposure and possible lawsuits, and most critically, family stabilization as Queen Camilla, Princess and even Prince Edward are reportedly involved in weekly security briefings and legacy planning. The goal is not just to protect the monarchy, but to prevent future collapse. As of the 21st of December, 2025, a new internal working group has been activated under the name Windsor Continuity Committee, led by Lord Hastings and reporting directly to Charles and William. Their mission to ensure that no individual, regardless of title or blood, may hold the crown hostage through falsehood or manipulation. As Prince Harry intensifies his blame campaign against King Charles and Princess Catherine, the British public and the global audience are splitting into factions. While some sympathize with Harry's image as a wounded son and isolated husband, a growing majority now sees his actions as calculated, destructive, and tragically self-centered. According to a new Ipsos My poll conducted on the 21st of December, 2025, the divide is stark. 68% of UK respondents believe Prince Harry is damaging the monarchy's credibility. 21% believe he is courageously speaking truth, and just 11% remain undecided. In contrast, Princess Catherine's approval rating sits at an unprecedented 89%, while King Charles enjoys 72% backing, a jump of 12 points following his December address. Public solidarity is crystallizing around a new term trending across social platforms: Windsor loyalism. From community halls in Birmingham to newsrooms in Sydney, the public is no longer just consuming Harry's grievances. They're rejecting them loudly. A viral op-ed in The Telegraph published under the headline, "Catherine was the last line and he crossed it," garnered over 6 million views within 48 hours. Its opening paragraph reads, "She raised no voice. She made no accusations. She kept the monarchy's dignity alive while Harry burned the bridge behind him, and still he blamed her." This sentiment is echoed in forums, phone and radio shows, and even parliaments. In Canada, where royal loyalty is traditionally more tempered, MP Alan Hawthorne, Ontario, stated, "Whatever Harry is going through." Turning on Catherine, the only member who embodies public service without scandal, says more about him than it does about her. There is not. It is masked. In Australia, Prime Minister Zoe Mullery, a Republican-leaning centrist, stunned reporters when she declared, "I've been critical of the monarchy, but I won't stand by while a woman like Princess Catherine is used as a scapegoat for someone else's collapse." On social media, the landscape is even more explosive. Two hashtags, #stand with Catherine and #where is the proof DL began trending globally following Harry's return and DL's confirmed upcoming appearance. The the Stand with Catherine movement, launched by a former palace photographer, includes thousands of women sharing stories of being blamed for others' jealousy, silence being misunderstood as guilt, and dignity being misused as a weapon. Several viral videos juxtapose Meghan's Hollywood appearances with Catherine's hospice visits and refugee outreach work. Meanwhile, the pro-Harry faction clings to the narrative of a man smothered by legacy, finally seeking truth. But even here, fractures are appearing. One prominent Sussex supporter, American journalist Lana McTavish, tweeted, "I supported Harry until he attacked Catherine." You don't. Claim moral clarity and then smear a woman who never publicly wronged you. What began as a family rift is now a diplomatic headache. Buckingham Palace's Foreign Office Division has received over 24 formal queries from international embassies and media outlets seeking clarification on Meghan Markle's unauthorized use of royal titles abroad, the status of Archie and Libet in the royal line of succession, the monarchy's stance on the pending DL interview. In a carefully worded press release on December 20th, Buckingham Palace stated, all members of the royal family are expected to conduct themselves in accordance with their standing and responsibilities. Any deviation will be addressed through appropriate channels. Though vague, the statement has been widely interpreted as a warning, particularly to Meghan, that continued title misuse could trigger legal or symbolic revocation. Behind palace gates, insiders reveal that William and Charles are preparing for a permanent freeze on all Sussex-related appearances and affiliations. Though no official document has been released, there is mounting speculation that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex titles may be formally suspended. Archie and Lilith's inheritance and HR rights may be held in abeyance pending documentation, and any further association with royal charities by the Sussexes will be prohibited. This hardline stance is not just about discipline. It's about survival. The monarchy, now led by Charles and increasingly influenced by William, is shifting into a wartime posture not of combat, but of constitutional defense. As one courtier reportedly put it, the Queen gave love, Charles gave space, Catherine gave silence, and still Harry demands war. Very well, the institution will outlast him. This is probably our percent and dollar sand. As Christmas near and the palace prepares for its most solemn holiday ceremonies, a storm brews beyond the gates of Windsor, Kensington, and Clarence House. The woman known only as DL, who claims to be the biological mother of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's children, is no longer a shadowy rumor. She is scheduled to speak publicly on the 3rd of January, 2026 in a live broadcast interview set to air simultaneously on major networks in the UK and the US. This exclusive long-form interview hosted by international journalist Elena Russo will take place in a neutral venue in Geneva. DL's team has already released the following to the press. She will speak clearly, calmly, and with evidence. This is not about revenge. It is about identity, justice, and the truth denied. What's most notable is that DL is no longer alone. Her legal team now includes a former ethics advisor to the European Court of Human Rights and 2 senior medical documentation experts. They claim to possess signed NDAs and financial agreements with Sussex-linked trusts. Fertility clinic intake records listing DL as the genetic mother. Internal email exchanges between Meghan's legal assistant and DL's intermediary. Transcripts of compensation negotiations allegedly breached by the Sussex team. Medical billing tied to Colorado-based deliveries for both children. In response, the monarchy has entered what royal aides are calling evidentiary lockdown. On December 22nd, King Charles convened an emergency Privy Council security session attended by Princess and Prince William, 2 legal lords, and senior government liaison. The outcome, a classified directive internally codenamed Resolution Reginina, outlines the following actions. Immediate audit of all royal succession documentation post-2019. A contingency legal framework to suspend HR privileges for minors if parentage documentation is proven inconclusive. Formal restriction of title usage abroad. Enforceable through the Foreign Office and Commonwealth embassies. Review of inheritance clauses within the Sandringham Balmoral and Windsor family trust relating to legitimacy. A source close to the palace legal team noted, this is no longer about family. It is about constitutional liability. If this woman presents even partially authenticated evidence, Parliament must be consulted. As the DL interview approaches, Prince Harry's mental and emotional state has reportedly deteriorated. Once pushing back against Meghan's refusal to disclose surrogacy details, he now appears conflicted, lashing out at the crown while attempting to shield his wife from scandal. During a private meeting on December 20th, hours after Kevin Costner's accusations against Meghan surfaced, Harry reportedly confronted Prince William and King Charles, demanding an official public condemnation of DL. A legal block on the interview airing in the UK, a press strategy to frame DL as an opportunist. None of these demands were met. Instead, Charles offered Harry a final statement reportedly captured in palace transcripts. The monarchy does not destroy women to protect itself, nor does it falsify documents to soothe a son's shame. Shortly after, Harry left Clarence's house in silence and has not been seen publicly since. Rumors suggest he is currently in a secure estate in Norfolk, isolated from both press and family under minimal protection arranged by private contractors, not the Crown. In California, Meghan Markle has led her next 3 public engagements. Her spokesperson cited holiday privacy, but insiders believe her legal team is preparing a coordinated rebuttal depending on what DL reveals. According to entertainment strategist Fiona Dale, there's a real risk. If DL presents real documents, Meghan's entire brand, motherhood, resilience, authenticity collapses. It's not just a royal issue. It's a global image crisis. Meanwhile, Netflix has reportedly suspended pre-production on the Sussexes' planned 2026 documentary series, and Spotify executives have confirmed that Meghan's next podcast season is on indefinite hold. Despite the chaos, the monarchy is not crumbling. In fact, it is becoming more agile, decisive, and transparent. Queen Camilla, previously shielded from many strategic meetings, has taken a back seat, while Princess Anne has emerged as the monarchy's most trusted stabilizer, overseeing communications, documentation audits, and internal morale. Catherine continues to work publicly, leading a holiday charity campaign titled Home is More Than Walls, which aims to support children in temporary housing across the UK. She has made no comment on Harry's accusations, a silence that has only deepened public respect. As for William, he is readying a national address for January 7th, 5 days after DL's interview, which insiders say will reaffirm the monarchy's commitment to truth and duty, outline how royal protocols will evolve in 2026, and define what it means to be a Windsor in the face of betrayal. And so, the curtain closes not on a family dispute, but on a battle for narrative legitimacy. Prince Harry, once the bold younger son, now stands alone, broken by the very truths he tried to hide. Meghan, once the media darling, now faces scrutiny not for her race or independence, but for her relationship with the truth. And the Crown, ancient and slow-moving, now demonstrates something unexpected: the ability to adapt under siege without collapsing. One insider summed it up best. They wanted to burn the monarchy down, but they didn't count on Catherine, on a king willing to let history speak for itself. The monarchy does not fear scandal. It fears silence in the face of lies. And this time it has chosen to speak not in interviews but in action.